The particular year 2020 that we are going through will have had several effects. The first of them is obviously to have shattered all the certainties that some people thought they had. The world we live in is totally uncertain, and this is the first big lesson this coronavirus pandemic will have taught us. This coronavirus pandemic then triggered an economic crisis on a scale not seen in decades. This economic crisis will have highlighted more than ever the flaws of the current monetary and financial system. This system is suffering from 7 deadly sins that will lead to its collapse. More and more people now share this sentiment. This explains why Bitcoin adoption has risen sharply in the year 2020. However, it is still difficult to know how many users are really committed to the Bitcoin world. For 3 years now, the University of Cambridge has been conducting an in-depth study of the cryptocurrency world. The third edition of the University of Cambridge's study on the cryptocurrency world has just been published. It is based on data from 280 companies involved in this universe and operating in 59 countries around 4 main segments: exchange platforms, payment systems, custody and mining. In this study, researchers from the University of Cambridge first explained that they count 191 million wallets on the Bitcoin network. That's quite an increase when you remember that the number was 45 million when they first studied it in 2017. Since users can own an unlimited number of wallets, it is always difficult to accurately estimate the number of actual users of the Bitcoin network. Researchers at the University of Cambridge are venturing to do this based on the data they have been able to obtain. In particular, they were able to determine that 90% of Bitcoin users have more than one address on the network. Based on this figure, they estimate that the Bitcoin network has officially passed the 100 million user milestone. This estimate is important because this figure would confirm the steady increase in the Bitcoin adoption by the general public. The study also estimates that the network has 400,000 daily users. There are many obstacles to mass adoption of Bitcoin by the general public, but things are moving in the right direction. And that's what this University of Cambridge study is all about. All of these figures, which already appear extremely high, will probably be nothing in a few years. Indeed, Bitcoin is set to see its adoption explode in the years to come. It responds to the great problem that appeared in the eyes of all in 2020. The possibility of protecting its wealth over time in a way that is resistant to censorship. All that remains now is to wait for this increase in the Bitcoin adoption to be translated into the start of the bull market. To do this, we will have to wait until the beginning of 2021. Bitcoin is a true monetary revolution that will change the world of the future when it comes to money. Millions of people are already convinced of this, and for many, Bitcoin is already a plan A. If you doubt it, just look at how Bitcoin is being used in Argentina, Venezuela, Nigeria, or Iran. However, we should all be aware that a revolution of the magnitude of the Bitcoin revolution takes time. Bitcoin has been progressing at its own pace since its creation by Satoshi Nakamoto. This has always been the case, and it also explains Bitcoin's recipe for success. Since Bitcoin follows its own rules, it is impossible to predict how the Bitcoin price will evolve in the short term. As I say every time I explain how the Bitcoin price might evolve in the short term, it is first and foremost a personal feeling. In the middle and long term, it seems easier to predict the potential price that Bitcoin could reach. I personally see 2 big reasons why the Bitcoin price will reach $1 million in 20 to 30 years. Again, however, I can't give you any guarantees. It is simply a personal feeling. Bitcoin stock-to-flow price model has become extremely popular. Modeling the potential Bitcoin price in the short, middle, or long term is therefore extremely difficult, if not impossible. However, a model proposed by the mysterious Plan B has become very popular in the Bitcoin world in recent months. The Plan B model is known as the stock-to-flow price model, and was presented in a Medium article dated March 2019, modeling Bitcoin value with scarcity. Buying Bitcoin for the wrong reasons is worse than not buying Bitcoin. As a Bitcoiner, I hope that the Bitcoin price will rise and that the monetary revolution embodied by Bitcoin can be successful. However, I think it is essential that new users who come to buy Bitcoin do so for the right reasons. There is nothing worse than a user coming to buy Bitcoin thinking that the evolution of its price is guaranteed. A person who did not understand the reason for buying Bitcoin before buying it will probably make the mistake of selling all his Bitcoins at a loss as soon as the Bitcoin price drops sharply, as it may happen from time to time. Bitcoin volatility is a feature, not a bug. To accept this, and make Bitcoin volatility your greatest ally, however, you need to have full confidence in the Bitcoin revolution. This is only possible after you have done your own research to learn more about Bitcoin and the economy in general. Those who follow this path will understand why the current monetary and financial system suffers from 7 deadly sins that will lead to its loss, but more importantly, why Bitcoin is the only credible alternative at our disposal. The CEO and founder of Blockstream explains the right way to approach the Bitcoin stock-to-flow price model of Plan B, as a speculative projection of a trend observed in the present that could continue. As such, it should be compared to Moore's law, which predicted that the number of transistors in microprocessors would double every 2 years. By considering the stock-to-flow model as an empirical observation of the present concerning the Bitcoin price that is projected to anticipate its future behavior, you will be able to give it the minimal importance it deserves. Where do Bitcoins come from? Put simply, Bitcoins are born when people mine them online with their computers. They are very expensive to produce. Computers mine Bitcoins by solving complex math equations, and by doing so they suck up a lot of electricity. The amount of electricity used to mine a single Bitcoin is relatively equivalent to the amount of power a single house uses for months. Plus, Bitcoins can only be 21 million in total, meaning it takes a lot of time and energy to produce just a single unit. Scientists have done a comparison of the number of emissions by mining computers to that of transportation, housing, and food, which are considered the main contributors to climate change. It has been determined that cryptocurrency mining produces enough emissions to warrant inclusion to the list. Because the Bitcoin business is volatile, predicting its future is tricky. No one can tell where its value will stand at a few years from now. It has also become so competitive now that sometimes, the amount of money it takes to produce it is more than its actual value. The more difficult the equation a computer solves, the more energy it uses. For this reason, the value of a Bitcoin could increase over time as equations become more complex. However, things could also take an opposite twist when mining technology improves in efficiency in the future, resulting in lower prices and less energy consumption. How it accelerates global warming. Since more complicated equations consume more energy, with the increasing complexity of Bitcoin equations, more energy is being spent to produce fewer coins. As more and more computing power is delegated to Bitcoin mining, the energy being released compounds upon itself, accelerating the effects of global warming. Many crypto companies and blockchain-based organizations are looking into this environmental issue with an intention of coming up with a solution. They want to develop a way of sustainable supply chains and decarbonizing energy systems. This has proven to be a hard task, since the potential energy uptake and carbon emissions given off from mining Bitcoins are directly against the vision of the technology. Is there a solution to this Bitcoin issue? So far, only speculations have arisen. It is dangerous to assume that Bitcoin mining will be significantly more efficient in the future. It is a 50-50 scenario, because no one really can tell how much more powerful computers of the next decade will be, and if they will be able to handle the equations much faster. Therefore, achieving this speculated efficiency is something that may or may not happen, and that puts all of us in a dangerous position. One of the main proposals being put forward is the regulation of crypto mining throughout the world. Yes, cryptocurrency is untraceable, but governments should take charge and regulate mining them because of their high energy demands, says Day Translations. Another solution being proposed is currency-based. The fact that Bitcoin is costly in terms of the computing power and work needed for running is what makes it undefeated. An obvious solution, therefore, is to keep improving the existing protocol to further improve efficiencies. And everyday innovators are taking up this task to do just that. Plus, computer chips also continue to advance by the day, improving the efficiency of computation in relation to power intake. However, the main downside of this approach is, as long as there is money to be made, more miners will continue flocking the Bitcoin scene, and in return, more power will be consumed just as before. Other cryptocurrencies and blockchain platforms have also experimented with alternative protocols which consume way less energy. Such algorithms could potentially eliminate the energy-consuming process of mining while at the same time recording transactions. The fact that a number of brilliant minds in the industry have realized the problem and are actively working on such algorithms shows a bright future.